Today I want to talk about the holidays, coping through the holidays. As INFJs people, we know sometimes this can be very stressful times for us. Now, not to mention that a lot of times it's about getting together with people, getting together with your families, having big, large gatherings of people. And a lot of times as INFJs, we know we're limited. We got our battery life. We've got our limitations as far as how much time we can spend with people. And a lot of times we know that. And through the years, we figured this out, sometimes the hard way. Okay, by the way, people, yes, this is Tom, and this is the INFJ Experience. So yes, what do? How do we cope with the holidays? I mean, how do we get through these holidays? Now, people, you may not be the type that have a lot of family. Maybe as we get older, as we know, we start losing people, dear people to our hearts. Maybe our parents have long since passed away. Maybe we've lost siblings along the way. Maybe you have all your family. Some of us don't. We start losing little bits and pieces of our family. Our grandparents are no longer with us. So a lot of times as we get older in life, we start seeing dear people go away from us. And it's part of life, and we kind of accept that. But along the holiday season, people that were always there that you knew you had aren't there anymore. And sometimes, depending on who you were and how you lived your life, if you had set down roots for yourself, were you married? Did you have children of your own? Do you have grandchildren? Now, hey, all INFJs are different. Some of you may have had children. Maybe you have families, large families, grandchildren, and that's your family. And you have a routine with them. Not everybody's the same. There's some INFJs that were mostly through their life solitary. And some of us have been the types that really never set down roots. Not because we didn't want to, not because it was not part of us, not because of nothing that we wanted to do, but because it was just part of our design. We just weren't the type. We were solitary people. Relationships to us seemed draining. Maybe we shied away from them. Maybe we found out early on that relationships, marriage, the thought of marriage, maybe you've been married for a short period of time but didn't let it elapse for years down the road. Whatever it might be, we're all different. And some of us, basically, bottom line is we may not have anybody for the holidays. We may not have a network of friends or family that we visit, that we have in our lives. Now you get the holidays roll around. And of course, what do you see? Everybody's together. Families are together, flying halfway around the world, halfway across the United States. Of course, in the United States, we have Thanksgiving. And for the most part, if you're outside of the United States, of course, you have Christmas and New Year's, but of course, we have Thanksgiving in the United States. So, yes, we have 3 major holidays coming up. And a lot of times we're obligated to meet the demands of our family and friends through our life. Now, if you don't have that, how do you cope? I'm going to talk about that today, people. So, INFJs, coping through the holidays is the name of this here, okay? For the number one is obligations, basically. Okay, so a lot of times we're obligated. Sometimes we feel obligated as people. I mean, society teaches us. I mean, when the holidays roll around, what is always the vision? A whole family around a table, carving a turkey, and maybe exchanging presents. These are just the things that go on. So right away, we know it's gatherings of people. So a lot of times you might feel obligated. Well, you got to send cards. You need to go with presents. You need to have your hands full of gifts. So, of course, then you're having to order things online. You're needing to order gifts, spend for gifts, things like that. Now, depending on who your family network is, depending on if you have grandchildren or things. Now, children, I think, a lot of times, mostly, you got to take care of children. Of course, children are the ones that are the most impressionable. And they're the ones that want to have these lasting memories. You really got to focus on your children, or your grandchildren for that matter, if you have them. Nieces, nephews, yeah, you feel obligated in a way to get things for them. Children take priority as far as I'm concerned in a lot of ways, because they're the ones building the memories for the most part. But depending on your relationship with your family, I guess it's up to you to know what your level of obligation is. Well, number two, no family, or dying roots is what I wrote down. Basically, I think I kind of started on that earlier, people. A lot of us may not have family left anymore. A lot of us we're older. Maybe not necessarily. Some of you may be younger INFJs, still have plenty of family. But it does reach a point in your life where you start losing people. And yeah, or you've never set down roots. Now, one thing about the INFJ is the fact that they're pretty much future planners. They're always looking toward the future, always projecting outward through their life, planning their life. But a lot of times is maybe they didn't plan for a family. Not that they didn't plan for their family, the fact that it was just not in their design to have a large family. So a lot of times as you might see that in your life, relationships for the most part are exhausting to you. So a lot of us are single. A lot of us remained celibate people. A lot of us remain solitary people through our life. And then you start seeing some of the results of your solitary life start to take root, where they start to reveal to the fact that, oh my gosh, I never laid down seeds. I never had children. Or I had one child, but they're on their own. And you don't see them very much. You never really got married. You didn't hold down a relationship or a marriage. All of a sudden you find yourself years later, middle-aged years, realizing that you had nobody. And now you look around and say, my family's dying off. Now you find yourself somewhat alone, isolated again. And this is not only just by default, but this is by just your age, just what evolved into your life. How are you coping with that? There has to be an acceptance to who you are. Something has to click into your mind where this realization comes in that as much as you planned, you didn't plan for the fact that someday you might have the idea that you're alone. You have no children, nobody backing you up. This could be depressing to some of you, to just have it realize that you look around you and you see all your friends, your family, maybe your siblings. You see people around you with grandchildren now, lots of grandchildren. Their children have already had children. And you're the outsider looking in again. Maybe you're the loner one that never set them down. I know it may seem a little harsh, people, but a lot of times these realities hit us, and sometimes they can hit us hard. Sometimes these realizations can shock us. Sometimes they can devastate us. But at some point, it has to come down to a realization, just a realization that you whatever you wished for in life, whatever you thought you were going to have in life. Maybe you wanted that big family. You wanted those grandchildren all around you. But you know what? It wasn't in the cards for you. It just wasn't. And sometimes you just have to have a rational, logical, intelligent, emotional understanding that that's who you are. That's who you've become. And you have to kind of understand that's it. That's all you really can do. And if you do need some kind of love and acceptance, if you do need something, then yeah, you got to find other outlets to happiness. Another thing is burnout. Now, depending on what you're doing, people, we're all different. Maybe you have a family, maybe you do or don't, but a lot of times we get burned out too. I mean, this is a thing that it's almost like society, again, the society teaches us that it seems as though it's common. Like I said, you see the table, everybody's gathered around, having a great time, everybody's loving it, everybody's together. It's very extroverted. Now, as introverts, as INFJs, right away we know we have a certain limited time. Even though it's the holiday season, maybe you're out, maybe you traveled to see your family, extended family, whoever that might be. But a lot of times Christmas Day rolls around, Thanksgiving Day rolls around, you're with your family. How much can you take? A lot of times you're going to get burned out. You may end up going into your jet lag where you burn yourself out. And because you felt the obligations, you put yourself out there, you bought the presents, you sent the cards, whatever it may be you did, if you followed through with this. But hopefully you find yourself, and if you're younger INFJs especially, you got to make sure you understand that you have a certain shelf life. You have a certain time limit that you have with people. And you usually got to relay these messages to people around you. Your siblings can't pressure you into saying, oh, come on, just stay another hour longer. Why are you a party pooper? Why are you leaving so early? You got to be firm and say, you almost have to set your own boundaries. You have to be firm and let people know this is who you are. This is the way you are. Does it mean that you are antisocial? Does it mean that you are looking for an escape, a way out? Even though maybe you are a little bit. But you basically have to be firm in your beliefs and say, listen, I need to go rest. This is kind of a little bit overwhelming. This is just, I've had enough for now. And you may have to separate yourself from your family and take your time off. Okay? So you got to watch out for your burnout. So these are trying times for the introverts at this time of year as well. Okay? So number 4 I put down is loneliness and cultural norms. It's normal. It's normal to have tons of people around you, family around you, friends around you during this time of year. And you're supposed to be festive and outgoing, and you're always smiling. And you get these cultural norms that just create this whole family gathering is wonderful and magical, which it should be. But a lot of the things this is a cultural kind of conditioning that we've been shown through our life. I mean, as children, to say that Christmas Day, you wake up, there's a boatload of presents under the tree, that you're obligated, that you're supposed to be part of this huge conglomerate of joy. And people are just joyous to each other, giving and praising and cheering and all this. Okay, these are cultural norms that that some people try to exceed. A lot of people think this is the way you got to be, and you got to put more lights in the house and more things like that. Now, again, INFJs were cut out of a different cloth. It's like a lot of these cultural norms never apply to the introvert, to the INFJ type. Of course, there's some other introvert types that fall under this category. A lot of times, these just don't appeal. Or we have a certain limit to this. We say, oh my gosh, we have a certain limit at how much we can take. But a lot of times we may experience the loneliness because of this. A lot of times we see this daunting thing and we just might want to check out and say, no, I can't participate. This is burning me out. It's just daunting for me to have these kind of things in my life. So they usually, a lot of times, INFJs may opt out of this and just avoid the holidays entirely. Now, I got to be honest with you, people. I've been divorced for almost 4 years now. And since I've been divorced, my life has changed in a lot of ways. I think I've described that before. But the last few years, believe it or not, I've skipped out on a few of these events. A few of these holidays have come and gone, and I've stayed alone. I've stayed home. I've had to find acceptance, but I had to find happiness and say, listen, I've had to find acceptance in who I am. Say, listen, this just is my life. I've always been introverted. I've been who I was. Yes, and you have to realize that your parents, your family, siblings, you're losing family. You've lost friends, some dear friends that you used to maybe call up. Some of your friends, even at your age, have departed. So all of a sudden you look around, you don't have anybody. You don't have close friends anymore. So you have to come to an acceptance that this is who you are. You're a loner. You are a drifter. You're a loner. You have to sometimes just sit back and say, this is who you are. This is just what your life led you to be. And you have to kind of what God gave you with what you had. And this is who you are. But a lot of times just acceptance, just understanding that this will take away the burden to say, well, you're not obligated to have to go through all these cultural norms. You don't have to follow these cultural norms that are set forth for you. That you have to be acceptance of your solitude life. That's who you are. Okay, and that steers me into contentment with yourself, which I basically just said. A lot of times I start telling you what I want to say, and I'm like, I wrote that down. That's what it was. I think I just explained that. Contentment with yourself. People, you just have to come to an agreement that sometimes that's who you are. Now, people, we're not all like that. Not everybody is that much extreme. INFJs are various people. Many of us that may have family and friends, and some are to the extreme where there isn't many people in our lives. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm covering a lot of different bases. So people, the bottom line is holidays, yeah, they can be very trying times a year. You have to make sure that you don't fall into depression. Above all, make sure that because you don't let your mind get you thinking, oh, woe is me. Holidays are rolling around. I don't have anybody. I'm alone. I'm depressed now because I don't have anybody. Understand that a lot of times that's who you are. And above all, people, again, like I said before, a lot of times fulfillment is in your duty, in your purpose in life. If you feel as though you need to contribute, if you feel as though you do need to find some kind of event, if you feel like you want to contribute, do good deeds, I mean, yeah, there's always volunteering. There's always visiting people in places. I mean, a lot of times people go to nursing homes and they just cheer up people in nursing homes. I mean, I don't do that personally, but I've heard about people who do that. They just maybe they have a talent. They strum a guitar and they might sing songs for people in a nursing home, on holidays. Sometimes people don't have family and they're in nursing homes. And these people are the ones that need us the most. Sometimes we think about children needing it all, but sometimes people in nursing homes, maybe our parents are there. Maybe we need to visit some people that we don't even know. That could be an event for you. Now, I'm not saying you want to do that route. That's just a suggestion. There's other ways of donating, maybe anonymous charities. Just throwing an anonymous amount of money somewhere, not telling anybody. That might give you a little bit of satisfaction in knowing that you gave away, clean out your clothing, put them in the Goodwill box, just knowing that you're passing on some of your clothes or that you're not using in life, things like that. There's different avenues and things you can do that at least make you feel as though you're contributing. Be that anonymous Santa Claus out there and things like that. Maybe that could do it. Now, if you need to do that, of course, if that would give you fulfillment, if that would give you a sense of purpose, there's always things like that would at least uplift your spirits a little bit in this season coming up. Okay? Okay, well, people, I think I said quite a bit again. Okay? Well, anyway, people, I hope you liked that segment. Okay? This was, like I said, this was coping through the holidays for the INFJs, and hopefully I touched on to a few things that you might find helpful in this point. Okay, well, people, anyway, thank you so much for attending. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me some thumbs up. Give me some comments if you like this content. And I know I kind of sound cliche when I do that a lot now. The bottom line is, yeah, I'm glad to support my channel, and I'm glad you stuck around this long to hear me. All right. So until the next time, people, thank you again. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.